I didn't do my makeup today because I didn't feel like it, okay? That's it. Okay. Today, I'm going to talk about why I failed my driving test 3 times. Yes, I failed my driving test 3 times in a row. I really don't like to drive anyways. Like, my mom forced me to get my license. She said if I didn't get my license, I would have to walk to school every day, and I wasn't going to walk, and I think she knew that. So I started taking my driver's ed courses, and in my driver's ed course, it was just crazy. Like, the people were crazy. We kind of learned stuff, but it was like, you know? And then one time, there was a shooting outside of our building. But nobody, as far as I know, everyone survived. So that's good, I guess. Going into my driving test, I felt all right. I had gotten a pretty good score on the written stuff, and I felt like I kind of maybe knew what I was doing. And I passed maneuverability on the first time, but when it came to like actual driving with actual people around me in the road, I was a little nervous. It was always like the state troopers who would sit in the car with you when you took your exam, which is nerve-wracking enough. And she also was just stone-faced. Like, I was freaking out, so nervous. And she came out, and I was trying to talk to her and have a conversation to make myself less nervous. And she was just not feeling it. I was like, hi, how are you? And she was like, fine, check your lights. Like, she was so scary for no reason. And I was like joking around saying, you know, I'm kind of nervous. And she was like, okay. I was like, okay, thank you. You're helping a lot. You're helping my nerves a lot. And so I was terrified of her. And I was terrified of the test. And I guess I was so nervous and thinking about how scared I was that I didn't hear her tell me to turn right, and I guess I turned left instead of right. And yeah, she made me turn around right in the parking lot and park the car, and she failed me right there. So that was the first time. The second time, I spent some time driving more. I was preparing more, and I made it out of the parking lot. I made it out of the parking lot, but I didn't make it much further. I think I got maybe 100 feet down the road, and I failed again because I slowed down at a light that was green. And yeah, she yelled at me for slowing down at a green light. And the rest of the exam, I was just thinking, oh, I've already failed. So I kind of just was awful and terrible for the rest of the exam. And I did fail horribly. I failed with flying colors. Third time's the charm, right? Am I right? I'm wrong. This time, I had a guy. And he seemed nice enough, except for the fact that, okay, I'm 5 foot tall. And my car is meant for someone who is 5 foot tall so that I feel comfortable, okay? And this man, he was at least 6'3" and like maybe 200 something pounds. And yeah, he couldn't really fit in my car completely, and he got upset with me because he couldn't fit in my car, and he was yelling at me because he was uncomfortable. I don't know how to expand my vehicle. But besides that, he was at least talking to me. And we are rolling down the street. I'm doing all right. We're making conversation. And then we get to this like S-curve thing where you have to slow down to, I think, 20 miles an hour. And I was really scared, so I slowed down to 5 miles an hour, and he he looked over at me, and I'm like looking at him through my peripheral vision, and he's like, "Why are you going so slow?" And I was like, "I don't know, I'm just trying to be extra safe, extra careful." And he was like, "No, that's points off." So after that, I'm like shaken up. I'm thinking, I've already failed. This is it. I'm gonna fail again. And I was so distracted thinking about how I was about to fail. I didn't notice that there was a stop sign until I was almost halfway through it. And I knew that if I didn't fail from the S curve, then running a stop sign was definitely going to make me fail. But I also knew it was points off if like you jerked your car to brake. So I just tried to like tap the brake and California roll through it, and he made me park on the side of the road, and he said, "What was that?" And I said, And he said, "Did you count to 3 at that stop sign?" And I said, "Quickly." I counted, it was a quick 3. And he said, "That is not a good enough stop. So you're going to go around the corner and you're going to stop again." And so after that, he counted with me, and we had a nice chat, a nice conversation, and I really thought that maybe things were looking up. He was being nice. He was asking about my life, and he was helping me and giving me tips about stuff. But then as soon as we parked, he was like, "I'm gonna let you know right now, you didn't pass." And he also told me that I sucked at parking, and he wasn't wrong, but you know, add insult to injury, why don't you? I was already kind of going through it, and yeah, I failed and I got chewed out for my parking. And then the 4th time rolled around. If I failed this one, then I was not going to be able to take the exam for another 6 months, I believe. And I was freaking out. I drove up to the place where the exam was, and I had spent weeks practicing the route over and over again, because at that point I had driven it 3 times, so I kind of knew it. And the 4th day rolls around, and it's going well. I'm remembering the route. Everything seems to be fine. She hasn't even looked at her little clipboard. And there was a part of the route that I recognized where it was a right turn, and that's where the little S curve would be. And so I'm getting over into the right lane thinking I know the route, and the lady does a switcheroo and she tells me to turn left, and I'm thinking, oh, she must be mistaken. She's gonna tell me to turn right in a second. So I'm still in the right lane waiting for her to tell me that she messed up and that we were going down the S curve. And she says, "I told you to turn left." So I like hurried up and switched lanes and did Tokyo Drift into the left turning lane. And I turned left, and we went down like a neighborhood and then turned around. And when we got back, she sat there for a while, and she sighed for a while, and she wrote for a while. And then she told me I passed. Barely, but I passed. You know, the reason why I had so much trouble with my exam, believe it or not, was not because I'm a terrible driver. The real reason why I was struggling so much with my exam is because I had so much anxiety about it. I was having multiple panic attacks over this exam, and while I was in the car taking the exam, I was having panic attacks. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. I want to talk about anxiety. I want to talk about how I cope with it and how I deal with it, because I have an anxiety disorder. And, you know, it can be a hindrance to a lot of things, but it's not something that has to control your life, okay? There's a book that I recently read. I'm going to link it if I remember. It's only 17 pages and it's free. And it's called The Universe Doesn't Give a Flying F About You. And the title seems harsh, but it really puts some things into perspective. It kind of talks about how big the universe is and how small we are in comparison, and how much smaller our mistakes are compared to that. And it basically talks about how the world moves on regardless if you mess up, regardless if you fail your driving test 12 times. And it helped me realize that if nothing else, at least I'm still alive. Okay? At least I'm still alive. And since I'm still alive, I can still try again. And again and again and again and again and again. I can keep trying as many times as I want, as long as I'm alive. And eventually, one of those tries will be a success, and it won't even matter how many times I failed, and I'll wonder why I even worried at all. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes that's helpful to me, sometimes it's not, because I haven't completely conquered anxiety. You know, some days getting out of bed feels like climbing Mount Everest, and having a conversation with someone feels like I'm giving an inaugural address in my underwear. But as long as I'm still alive and the world is still turning, then I can keep trying. And if I mess up, if I embarrass myself, yeah, it'll suck. But as time goes on, those mistakes will feel so much smaller. They'll start to shrink because I'll start to grow. I know how difficult it is to feel motivated and feel like you can do it, but I believe in you. You can do it. Have a good day. Make good choices, okay? Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.